Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew Davis Media once again, and welcome back to some more Bluey on this channel. But before we get into that, 5 months ago, the Minecraft movie, or a Minecraft movie, came out. And yeah, a lot of people weren't excited for it, but when the movie did manage to come out, this happened. And my heart goes out to every single employee who had to suffer throughout those times. And for the audience, I really hope it was worth it. You couldn't have just waited till it came out on streaming for you to do that, but no. You had to do it in a theater and interrupt so many people who are just watching the movie for fun. But yeah, you people just decide to scare them off. But hey, I hope it was worth it. You know, bringing in that chicken and just throwing confetti everywhere, just bringing in a huge mess for, you know, those employees to, and just, you know, people getting injured, you know, fires starting, people getting arrested. And, just pretty much people just going as crazy as this right here. But I'm not here to talk about the movie. I already did that on my channel. I am here to talk about the game. I know this is the PS4 version, but I'm playing on PS5, so yeah. And what I mean by that is I have spent a lot of time recreating characters and scenes from Bluey in Minecraft. Now, back during my teen years, I did show off some creations I did make in Minecraft, specifically on specific cartoon characters and whatnot. I figured, why not bring that back since, you know, Bluey is a big part of my life now, and I have made so many videos on it. I felt like, you know what, since I did a video on Bluey video games, I might as well boost up another video game and bring in some Bluey to that as well and show them all for you guys. So, without further ado, let's get into my Bluey creations from Minecraft. Not all of them are going to be masterpieces or anything like that, so don't expect anything like super special, despite the fact that I spend hours into this, but hopefully it's good enough for you to at least appreciate some of them. But enough of the delays. Let's get into my Bluey Minecraft creations. Okay, it just hit me. One more thing before I get into it. The very first trailer for a Minecraft movie literally came out as I was building one of these creations. I don't know which one, but it literally came out as I was playing the game. I don't know if it was just a coincidence. It probably just was, but I don't know. I just kind of found that a little wild. I was playing Minecraft and, oh, Minecraft movie trailer came up. It didn't look good, but, yeah. I mean, yeah, but... Oh, and one more thing, just for fun. If some of you guys comment chicken jockey, I will reply with a bunch of popcorn emojis. Simple as that. Because, hey, still a lot more pleasant than, you know, physical popcorn in your face, but just bringing that up right now, because I know some people probably are, since this involves Minecraft, but just bringing it up there. Anyways, creation time. I've spent over 120 hours on recreating so many of the characters and moments of the beloved show, from primary characters, from the grown-ups, the kids, Bluey's friends, Bingo's friends, neighbors, other parents, one-episode characters. I had so much time on my hands when I was creating them. I can't say they all turned out perfect, but you're still able to know who is who and what is what. Besides, Bluey's taught us that perfection, it's not a real thing, but we do try our best. Now, Minecraft did add an update where you can customize the graphics with a vibrant visual setting. We're not going to do that because if we did, this would be what you'd be seeing throughout the whole video. It took me forever to turn it off until I found out you could just turn it off from the main menu. Thanks, Online Tips. Now, I took a lot of time into making these. Each creation takes me around like 2 to 3 hours to make. I start from the foot all the way up to the head, and every time I finish a character, I put a sign by their feet about 3 blocks away from them. I put their name, their gender, and their breed. However, I'm not really proud of how all of them turned out, as some characters will look smaller than others when it should be the opposite, same with some being bigger than others. But with all that being said, let's take a look. First, the Bluey theme song recreated. Pretty simple enough. I could have done some of the other songs too, though I feel like it would take an eternity to do, especially with how much fire the songs bring to the show. As for the characters, we start off with the lovable blue pup herself. I can say I'm pretty proud with how this one turned out, though I will admit the darker blue could definitely have been lighter, but other than that, I'm proud of this one. Bingo, while the darker orange part on her eyes and her back spot might be a little too blended in, it's still easy to tell it's her. The big blue guy himself, Bandit, this one was a little bit of a struggle because I feel like I made his legs a little too long and the nose is a bit on the smaller side, but I am proud of the use of detail from its gray furs to the yellow part of the snout and belly. So yeah, I'm still fine with how it ended up being. Chilli. I used shroom light for the insides of her ears. While you can tell I made her a little taller than Bandit when it should be the other way around, I am still quite happy with the design overall. We then move on to the other healer family members. As we go to Grandpa Bob, this one I had quite fun with. Some of my favorite creations in this are the ones with the most colors and detail on them, from the brown areas to the gray ones. Yeah, I'd say I'm happy with this one too. Christine, also known as Nana. While I do like the design, when it comes to the purple healer members, you can definitely tell that the colors are too dark, specifically with the bright colors on the mouth, belly, hands, and feet, but I am at least happy with how the arm bending and glasses look. Then we get to Muffin, who will always be a top tier character for me. Her design was certainly fun to create, though the mouth may be a little too big and the left arm you can kinda tell is thinner than the right one, but hey, this ain't the only Muffin creation I got. Socks. Yeah, this one's probably my least favorite creation in my opinion. Had I made the eyes look a little bit closer, it definitely would have looked a little better. I chose her two-legged form rather than her puppy form just because this form was easier to do. Trixie. I had quite a bit of fun with this one, from the different colored eyes to the spots. Yeah, I'm not complaining too much. Stripe. Again, I feel like I made the legs a little bit too long with this one, but there are some elements to this I enjoyed recreating. From the belly stripe to the tail, the patch in his eye, and the bent ear. It's flawed, but I do feel like the designs are cool at least. Radley. Yeah, the nose and face are a little too small, but I love the details I put on the blend of the orange and the blue fur to the hair. This is another one I had quite fun recreating. Frisky. She pretty much counts as a healer family member now since her and Radley are married now. This design I'm quite proud of too, from her hair to the different shaded colors. Just like with Muffin, you can tell her left arm is a bit thinner, but I still think this one turned out pretty decent. Then we get to Aunt Brandy. While Healer isn't her last name, she's still a family member. This one I also had fun making, from that little tuffy fur part on her head to the different colored ears and feet. Yeah, it's pretty simple, though it's a little ruined when we get to Mort, who is a bit shorter than her. Yeah, like I mentioned, not all these designs were perfect, but when you create something in a game like Minecraft, it's not always going to look perfect. But as for Mort himself, I enjoyed ironing his hat. I feel like it adds more to the overall design as well as his character. We then get to Bluey's friends and classmates. Chloe. Now this one I'm really happy with. The spots I think are pretty close to resembling her TV show counterpart, as well as the body itself. But you want to know what kind of ruins it? Behind her is her dad, who, yeah, we'll get to that later. But Chloe, yeah, I liked making this one. Honey, this one was a bit of a tricky one because her body isn't rectangular like most of the other characters, but hey, for the design itself, I'm quite happy with it. From the gold fur to the glasses, the snout's a little big, but other than that, I like this one. Then we get to our boy Mackenzie, another design I'm quite proud of. In my opinion, he has one of the coolest designs in the whole show, and this one I didn't struggle too much with. Rusty. Now this one I kinda cheated on because I just copied his design from Bluey's. I mean, pretty much anybody can do that with Bluey and Rusty, but you know what? I don't care. I still think it looks cool regardless. Jack, another one I had quite fun with making because he doesn't have too many colors or details on him. I didn't struggle too much on this one. Indy here, on the other hand, was the exact opposite.
The fact that she wears clothes to having long hair, as well as a shell being her necklace, as well as a bit of a puffy side to her arms and legs. This one was kinda tough, but hey, it's definitely easy to tell who this is if you're a fan of the show. Winton. This is another one I'm quite happy with. Not much else to say. Snickers. This design I'm also pretty happy with, from the long sausage dog body to the ears and the hat. This one's pretty solid. It's honestly hard for me to know which one I struggle with the most, but Coco was definitely one of them. Due to how much puffy parts she has to her, it's basically why she's bigger than most of the other character creations. But still, after hours of trying to connect those round, puffy parts of her body, I'd still say I'm happy with the end result. Lucky. I used the one where he's holding a football and wearing a backpack since, well, he's a character that pretty much doesn't have much of a purpose in the show, which is quite sad. So that's why I added in more of those details, plus he only has one color, so that was the easy part. John Luke. Now, just like with Rusty, I kinda copied Lucky's design for John Luke, which is why it doesn't look perfect. I know, you shouldn't just cheat by copying your own designs, but dude, I copied pictures online just to make these, so I don't really see much of a difference. But hey, this is another design I felt was okay. The Terriers. If making one design was hard, why not crank it up and make 3 at once? I figured you can't separate any of the Terriers, so you might as well make them all at once. But you know what? I think it was worth it. Each one having a different design definitely made this one a bit better. It's pretty much like a puzzle, or connect the dots a little bit. Judo. This one I actually made recently just before making this video, though I am disappointed by the fact that I made her tail too close to the Terriers, so I'll just say the tail is behind them. But yeah, I never hated Judo. I mean, yes, the fact she tried separating Bluey and Bingo isn't quite ideal or sweet. I mean, she did apologize in the end, and she definitely showed more of her brighter side later on. But think about it, she's an only child being raised by a single mom. She may have been dealing with problems of her own, but honestly, all the characters have their faults, but I don't really hate any of them. Except for this lady, she literally feels like she's from another show. But as far as the design goes, yeah, you can still tell it's Judo. I like the detail of her headband, as well as the fluffiness overall. Mia. The hardest part of this one has to be the spots. I had to try my best to make them look as close as possible when making this, but other than the spots, the orange areas from her tail, eyes, and feet definitely make it stand out pretty well. Of course, if I was going to make Mia, I had to do Captain as well, who I'm also pretty happy with in terms of the end result. We then move on to Bingo's friends and classmates, as well as other young kids. Dusty. The hands definitely are a bit of a distraction, but I feel like when it comes to almost everything else, though I do feel like her mouth could have been smaller, I'm still okay with the end result. Leela. This design I used from the beginning of the episode Daddy Drop Off. The hardest part was probably the feet. You know how some of the characters will look straight and their toes are pointing forward? I could have also done this design since it would have been cuter, but I went with this one because there wasn't as many curves or angles. I'd also say this one's okay, but again, a lot of the time it's hard to get their noses right, just like Flynn Rider from Tangled. Buddy. This one's pretty simple. I definitely liked how the tail turned out, as well as the body itself. Dougie from the episode Turtle Boy. Even though Bingo and Dougie never met, it has been confirmed that the two did become friends. Maybe there will be more to that in the future, because with how well they managed to portray a character with deafness, I'd love to see more of him. And I certainly felt like I did a good amount of justice with this character design. Lucky's little brother Chucky, which I honestly find quite funny. Lucky and Chucky, Rusty and Dusty, these people just love getting creative when making siblings have rhyming names. But yeah, Chucky, again, the nose doesn't look perfect, but I still don't have too many complaints. Missy. I do feel like some of the colors on this one are a bit too dark, but I'd say in terms of the things I'm proud of about this one is definitely the beads in her... Is that her hair or her ears? Either way, it doesn't look too bad. Pom Pom, a very small but hardy breed indeed. And I can certainly say, despite this one being literally a ball of fluff, I can say this one actually looks quite good. Bentley, a character you don't see often, but her design wasn't too tough, so I added her in anyway. Jack's little sister Lulu. People just love to hate on this character just due to how she scolds Jack. Clearly those people don't understand how little kids work. She's too young to understand his condition. Besides, some people just focus on that than how she does show she cares for her brother, like in Explorers at the end when she gives him a strawberry. Isn't that something we all want to do for Jack? I'm just bringing that up because some people can get too extreme when it comes to some of the characters' actions. But as for the character design, yeah, I pretty much don't mind how it turned out. It's pretty much just Jack, but smaller and female. Before we move on, I'm actually adding this in at the very last minute. I decided to go back and fix Leela's nose. Yeah, it still doesn't look great, but it's definitely an improvement. I also went and fixed Missy's error where a part of her body isn't, fully dark. Like, I did not know how I managed to make that error, but I fixed that as well. Also, you can't really notice, but Coco's eyes were a little bit too far down from the eyebrows. I slightly boosted it up a little bit just because, I don't want to have to go through all that trouble when I'm currently editing this video just to, make it look better. But, I always get that sense that, I feel like I definitely need to do a little bit better. So if I do decide to do an update, I will also try making improvements on these. So, yeah, I might as well just bring that up now. Yeah, I'm actually doing this just as they announced the release date for the Bluey movie, which will be August 6th. Sweet! For 2027, but still, sweet! Then we get to the secondary adult characters. Doreen. This one was a little hard since I used the design with the curly things in her hair rather than her hat. But, sometimes it's good to challenge yourself, and I'd say I didn't mind the design for this one. On the other hand, Frank... Yeah, what ruined this one for me is how small I made him. But other than that, his design, in my opinion, isn't too bad. Wendy was also quite challenging to make too, from that big curly bang to those jewels on her tail and chest, but still, I like the result of this one. Calypso, oh man, this one I had a lot of fun making. From her design to the bandana, this one is one of my favorites, and I'm quite happy with it. Pat, also known as Lucky's dad. Looking at it, yeah, this one I'm pretty proud of. From the gray furs to the shadowing around his mouth. Does he kind of remind you of another cartoon dad? The one who's been around for eternity along with the rest of his family? Well, anyways, yeah, I like this one. Then we get to his wife, Janelle. This one I kind of did like reverse colors to a bit, and while it doesn't fully match, I still am proud of this design too. Busker, this was also quite a fun creation, especially with those glasses, and the red covering his tail, hands, and feet. I'm also proud of how I managed to make the ears, the way they're folded like that. Yeah, this is a good one. Jack's dad, this one is also a little too short as well, but again, I like how I was able to design him. And at least he's bigger than his daughter, but, yeah, moving on. Alfie. I had a few options for this design. I chose the one where he's holding the toy to add more to the character, and what he does for a living, what he started doing for a living. This one was actually the latest one I made, as I would pretty much feel guilty if I didn't add him in, especially since I added in so many other one-episode characters, but still, I'm glad to have put him in. Alfie's cool anyway. We now get to the toy and pretend characters, as over here we get to Bartleby. Despite him being bigger than all the other toys, I mean, just look at how pissed Unicorse is right there. This one I'm pretty happy with overall though. And then Bob Bilby, very small, but I do like how the design looks. The ears were a little bit tough, as well as, the rounded areas, but I like the end result. Unicorse was a bit of a tough one as well, but again, I found ways of making him work. Chattermax was definitely a hard one, with all those colors and things on his eyes. It certainly wasn't an easy one, but man, I really like how the overall design looks. Floppy, yeah, this one also looks pretty solid. Somehow I'm not really complaining too much about the toy characters. And over here we got the Granny trio, Janet, Rita, and Gladys. Gladys may have been the hardest due to how much style she has. Janet was also pretty hard too, with those glasses and all. Rita wasn't too bad though. I mean, it's not like I made her slip on her beans or anything. We then move on to the legendary moments recreated in Minecraft, starting with Bandit dressed as a baby. You just gotta love Bandit for the fact he'll do anything to make his kids happy, even if it means doing the most humiliating things, even if they aren't in public. Then we got Chilli's iconic stare, as if she's mad about Bandit being dressed as a baby, but don't worry, she actually found it funny in the show. But this design I really like. I'd say it replicates the real thing quite well. And then Muffin being the Flamingo Queen. The Flamingo looks pretty good. The way Muffin flexes her back was a bit difficult, but it still looks pretty decent overall. And then we got one of my favorite frames of the whole show where Bluey's jaw drops when Chilli puts Bingo's drawing over hers. The fact she was holding cereal and just drops it makes it even funnier. So I just had to recreate it. And then we have Mackenzie looking at the camera, another one of my favorite frames out of the whole show. I even made a painting of it on one of my shorts. I'm also quite happy with how this one turned out. And then we got Bandit making this face. If you pause the Bluey theme song, once they say dad, Bandit will make this face, and it has been memed a few times, as people call it the frame, so that's why I made it. So yeah, I definitely feel like the context was completely necessary for this one. Then we got Bingo under the hand dryer. Not too crazy with how the teeth turned out, but that puffy design I am pretty happy with, as well as how the hand dryer looks. And then we have Baby Bluey laying down in this position. I am very surprised with how well this one turned out, from the way her nose points up to how I managed to add in the shade to making the bottoms of her feet stick out in just the right angle. Yeah, pretty impressed with how it turned out. And then we move on to Too Much Wholesomeness, because of course Bluey is full of it. Starting off with this drawing of Bandit hugging his mom as a kid from the mini-sode letter, where Nana reads a story that Bandit wrote as a kid. This one was different, since this time, instead of this being one of the characters, it's a drawing from the show. Now yes, of course, the most iconic scene in the episode is after this image, where Bandit mentions how much he hates his mother's cooking, but I just love despite that, he still considers her the best mom in the whole world, even if her cooking is bad, or if she physically disciplines him with her footwear. I really liked making this one. I especially liked how the hair turned out, as well as the hearts. I also added the paper too. I did the outline for the characters first before filling the rest in with the paper. Then we get to Bingo from the episode Sleepy Time. This one was also quite difficult due to the fact that I had to make Bingo hatching from the earth, and there's that goop coming out, and the fact that I had to put in a crack for the earth. But hey, it's one of the cutest moments from the whole show, and from one of the best episodes of the whole show. I definitely didn't mind how it turned out. But as I'm thinking about it, yeah, kind of a missed opportunity to have it built up in the sky. Then we get to Ballerina Muffin. The leggings and the edges of the tutu definitely are a bit dark, but I do like the expression that I managed to design for Muffin. Again, it was hard for me to get her foot right when I had to have her toe facing forward, but this one I think turned out fine. We then get to one scene that's pretty much impossible not to cry over, where Bluey takes her first steps to Chilli. It's the moment that every mother just teared up over, and I mean the episode itself was made for mothers. And this one I think ended up being pretty cute, though I could have used a better outline for the mouth and the diaper rather than just oak wood, or whatever type of wood I used. Then we move on to Rusty and Dusty in the episode Cricket, where Rusty shoots her a catch and congratulates her for it. As you can see, I added gold for the cricket bat. The episode itself is already gold, and I just can't help but love how dedicated Rusty is to his family. From the support his parents give him to the care he gets from his older brother and the loving bond he shows for his sister, this is how you put a good brother or sister relationship in a show for younger audiences, supposedly. You know, the ones that don't involve pinching your sister as a baby and not getting scolded by your parents about it. I know that's old now, but it really gets worse the more you look at it. As for the design itself, Rusty's legs are a little uneven, and you can't really see the ball too well where Dusty is holding it, but I do think in terms of Rusty holding the bat covering the diamond in its belly and Rusty's fingers shown patting her head, it's still not too bad in my opinion. Though if you look at it in a different angle, it kind of makes it look like Dusty is walking on air and Rusty is balancing himself with one toe. Man, that must be painful. But all jokes aside, I think this one ended up being alright. We then get to Bluey hugging Mackenzie from the episode Barky Boats. I just love that despite the fact Bluey and Mackenzie had like a playful rivalry in Barky Boats, their last interaction in the episode ends with her just giving him a hug, which has been seen in a few pieces of merchandise. And no, I'm not one of those kid shippers or anything like that. I just like the spirit that goes on when it comes to Bluey's relationship with her friends. I think the look of Mackenzie looks a little bit off. It's kind of hard to see his eyebrows a bit, but I think Bluey turned out pretty well. A pretty cute creation for a pretty cute scene. We keep the hug train going with Bluey hugging her dad after a pretend trial going against each other in the episode Family Meeting. I almost don't need to say anything. I am definitely proud of this one. Their faces look pretty solid, the way their arms are wrapped around each other. I am definitely satisfied with how this one turned out. And then we end off the wholesome train with Chilli as a kid by the pier with her dad from the episode Granddad. I added wood for them to sit on as well as the backpack, which I'm pretty happy with. Mort does look a little thin when you look at it, but I like how Chilli turned out at least. Their spots look pretty solid, their tails look decent as well. Yeah, I'm still happy with this one. I had to design the tails before making the wood to, do the outline of the tails before adding the rest of the wood in, just like the Bandit hugging Nana drawing, in case you want to know how I did it. And now we get to Bandit and Chilli forever, quoted by Chilli herself, Melanie Zanetti.
Bandit and Chilli forever.
Some of my favorite moments in Bluey are where Bandit and Chilli show their love for one another. So I literally recreated many of the moments they had together. It's not every romantic moment, but if you want to see more of that, check out my video on my top 10 favorite romance moments they had together. But let's get started with this one, which is pretty iconic, where Bandit and Chilli sit at the park, as Chilli mentions how she loves him just a little bit more now. It's super cute, and it shows how powerful these two's relationship is. Just like with the last creation I showed, I made them sit down on something since if I didn't, it would pretty much make them look like they were floating in the air. And I might as well mention this scene from SpongeBob before someone else brings it up in the comments. The way their tails are hanging I think looks pretty good. The way Chilli leans into Bandit I'm also happy with. Yeah, this one I think was also pretty solid. Then we get to Smoochy Kiss. I had to use 2 images for this one because there was the one from in the show, but Chilli was holding her toast, which I didn't want to add in. And then there was the wallpaper from the Bluey website, but their tails were cut off. And of course, I had to make sure the lips were connected the right way, as well as their height looking the same as in the show, but in the end, yeah, I think I nailed it. Oh yeah, and I had to use a lighter color for Bandit's eyelids too. Then we get to Bandit and Chilli dancing from the episode I think it was Work. This one was hard, as when it came to Chilli's position with the tutu and the tiara on her head, I had quite a bit of trouble. Even Bandit looks a little bit off, especially with the teeth. And somehow his left foot looks a little bigger than his right. At least from the way I'm looking at it, but I think it still looks pretty okay. Not perfect, but it's easy to tell what it is. Now this one was pretty simple. This one's from Fairy Tale after Bandit and Chilli put their kids to bed after debating if they met as kids or not. It's easily one of my favorite moments just due to the fact that they decide not to argue about the debate and just keep loving each other. I can say this one wasn't too hard. Bandit definitely looks a little wide, but other than that, it's a pretty solid creation. And then we have Bandit giving Chilli a hug from the episode Relax after Chilli mentions that she doesn't know how to relax, and Bandit immediately comforts her. The face is a little bit small for Chilli, and I feel like Bandit's arm should be a little bigger, but I still think it's still a wholesome enough recreation. And last but definitely not least, Chilli returns the hug in this part where Chilli tackles Bandit in the end of the episode The Sign. Now technically they're supposed to be laying on the ground for this, but I just decided to make it look like Chilli is lifting Bandit up while standing on her tippy toes, but still, despite the challenge I had with this one, the fact it replicates the scene very well, in my opinion, makes me quite proud of it in the end. The legs, the edges, the arms, it was difficult, but nonetheless, I am very happy with the results. And we are not done yet. We got one last creation, and it was probably the one I spent the most time on. Right over here is none other than the Healer House. Yep, I recreated the entire house, even the plants, all thanks to this one YouTube video I saw. Link in the description if you want to try it out. The most difficult part was the inside, as I couldn't really use too many details on it, but for a replication of the Healer House, it was actually pretty fun to make. The backyard I enjoyed making too, though the trees were definitely the hardest part. I do absolutely love the outdoor design of the house, as it's a very strong representation of the house in the show. Even the road I enjoyed making too. I couldn't really find any tutorials for other Bluey locations, which would pretty much take up like 50 years of my life, but I am absolutely happy with the end result of the house. But anyways, that is it for the Bluey Minecraft creations. Let me know which one was your favorite, and let me know what other creations do you think I should have added. Would you like to see an update in the future if I decide to kill more time and make more of these creations? Let me know down below. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and maybe subscribe for more. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or maybe Blue Sky. Links are in the description. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Word out.